If you're a Christian believer, you are probably bursting to tell me that I am taking the Bible out of context and Jesus really did die to save us from our sins despite what he actually said, and thus you would like me to put the Bible in context. So I'm going to do that. Before I do so, however, we must take a look at what the sins in the sin list have in common so that we can understand why a divinely inspired text would have the contradiction between Jesus saving everyone and Jesus saving only those who would follow the commands. If we look at the list of sins reads as follows: self-defense, material wealth, sexual attraction, religious activity rewarded by people, failure to be completely humble. If you look at these, all of these are human nature. Self-defense is human nature. It's not something to be ashamed of. If somebody is attacking us unfairly, of course we have the right to defend ourselves. If we did not, our forefathers would have been killed by the British and we would be dead. To say that self-defense is a sin is inhuman. It is, however, what Jesus preached, and according to Jesus, we must never resist an evil person if we are to enter heaven. The same applies to the quest for material wealth. No matter how much or how little material wealth you have, the overwhelming majority of humans always strive for material wealth because it is our nature. The same, of course, is true with sexual attraction. Religious people like to vilify and be petrified of anything that could be related to sex, when really it is just our human nature, and there's really no reason to be ashamed or scared of it. Sex is the most basic and the most important instinct a human feels, and yet, according to Jesus, it's a sin. Doing good to be rewarded by people is also human nature. If I want to get into college, I am of course going to volunteer somewhere and write it on my college application, just like the hypocrites in the synagogues, because I, like any other human, would want to get into college or would want to get a job or would want to achieve some sort of worldly position, such as the presidency, and thus I would have my righteous activities rewarded by people and thus exclude myself from heaven. And of course, the failure to be completely humble is ridiculous. Nobody is going to give to every single person who asks them. That idea is ludicrous. What if Osama bin Laden asked you to hide him from the United States government? Would you hide him? Of course not. He is a terrorist murderer. But Jesus says we must do anything for anybody who asks us. Jesus asks us to defy everything that makes sense and everything that is in human nature so that we can serve God. Now, we all know that Satan is the enemy of God. As we can see here, human nature is the enemy of God. Could it be possible that Satan and humanity are the same thing?